Well, when George Clooney wrote that op-ed
Yes.
asking for Biden to step down,
Yes.
you actually criticized him.
I did, and I mean it. I mean it. I thought that it was unceremoniously the way you, like, who is what they were. Like, Biden's not what he was. You wasn't what you, George Clooney ain't what he was at Ocean's 12. But ultimately.
He is a major donor, though.
Ultimately.
And he has a voice. Ultimately, he was right.
I think that I can't prove a negative. I don't know what would have happened. I can't. I do know what has happened. And I think I was in Detroit that night, and there were a lot of people who were upset at the way it happened. But this groundswell, but never wavering in my affection and devotion to Kamala Harris. I mean, she and I have a relationship that was kind of contentious at first because I said a lot of things I'd heard on the internet. She locked up a lot of black men.
Right. So you made a criticism, which was somewhat of a conspiracy theory.
Yes. Not somewhat, a conspiracy theory.
Well, okay. Well, it's a little fuzzy, right? Because
I don't know if it's all that fuzzy, but I'll listen to you.
Well, the conspiracy is that she locked up 1,500 black men for marijuana charges.
Right.
Now, 1,500 men may have been arrested for marijuana charges, but only 55 were actually locked up.
And they weren't all black. They mostly
weren't
black.
all black.
Right.
Marijuana was illegal back then.
That's what I don't get.
And I'm almost positive that the amount of weight they were locked up for, they would probably get locked up for today as well.
Yes.
Right?
The funny thing about that is getting mad at a prosecutor for prosecuting people is like getting mad at a dentist for pulling your fucking teeth. Like that was the job. She doesn't write the laws.
Yeah.
She enforced them, right? And you elected somebody to enforce the law, to be the top cop in whatever region she was in.
Yeah.
But it stems from this, and my problem is that I loved California. I grew up there my whole life. It was a state that got progressively meaner and meaner and meaner. Like 3 strikes came from there, Proposition 209. There was some people don't remember, before California was this bastion of liberalism, it was Texas.
Yeah.
It was Texas. Mm-hmm. And so it started to change based on an influx of people that started to change the demographics. But in California, people were going to jail, like the 3 strikes law, the dude who went to jail snatched pieces of it. It was like a crazy thing. And I attached all of that to her as an attorney general. And we were on the radio, and I said it out loud, and we had a bit of an argument about it. And I remember
you and Kamala argued about it.
Yes.
Where?
On my radio station.
Oh, she called in.
Yeah, she was calling in before the. It was for the 2022 election. You know, the midterm election.
Okay.
And so in November of 2023, at the heat of Gaza, she invited me and a bunch of people out to her residence, the vice president, and I was like, I'm gonna tell her the truth. And I got in her house, and I was like, things you did in California I didn't like. And she said, man, this is the most embarrassing shit ever. She put her hand on her, and she said, I can understand you being upset, and if that were true, I'd be upset too. I want you to just, you don't have to listen to me, Google my record. And I came back, and she in fact was right, and the things I had been saying were the stuff of misinformation and fiction. And I told her right then, I said, not only am I going to apologize, I am going to do what I can to make sure you're elected. I didn't say re-elected, I said elected in November. I said that. And then I said, I think that your apology should be as loud as your accusations. And I think that when you assassinate someone's kid, like the things I'm seeing them do to her now, like she's not really black. She grew up in Oakland. Well, first she worked at McDonald's. She grew up in Oakland. She went to an HBCU. She plays AKA, and she once had a boyfriend named Willie. If that ain't black, I don't know what is.
Willie Brown.
And she got a first name white men can't pronounce. So I don't. So I don't understand. So my thing is, I am just trying, in addition to the things I personally believe about her and the virtue that she extols, and I think all of those things, but I besmirched her character, and I did it in a loud way. And I think that my apology and my trying to make that right should just be as loud as my accusation. So that's it for me.
Well, yeah, speaking of Willie Brown, Trump had told the story about how he was in a helicopter with Willie Brown and it like crashed.
Right.
And during that crash, Willie Brown said all these horrible things about Kamala. And they interviewed Willie right after. He goes, that never happened.
Right.
Just never happened.
It was Nate Holden. One's from LA, one's from and you know what? When the plane's crashing, you're not getting ready to go, let me tell you about this bitch. You too busy shitting on yourself and praying to God. Even the fanciful notion of that shit.
Yeah.
Like you don't know if you're gonna live, and you spend your last waking seconds going, let me tell you about this bitch. That's but you know, even when he does those things, like, I'm not saying Trump has dementia, but I am saying when he had that press conference, all he did was shout at people in his living room. And that's what my daddy did when he got dementia. Let me tell you. All that's missing is the road with the back out. That's the only thing that's missing. That's all.